Oh, is it?
I think we are just, you can rename yourself. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's 11 o'clock here in Accra, Ghana, West Africa. Currently, we have about, I think about 40 participants joining, and the number is just increasing. Maybe, well, as we admit them, we're just hoping that we would use for the next 1 minute to just settle down and then start, because we already have spent 2 minutes of our time. So the number is just growing, and we'll start soon. Okay, I think we will start, and then whilst we admit more people in. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. It's our great pleasure to welcome you to this very important training session, the first of its kind, if my memory serves me right. And it's great to know that we have all these people having interest in joining this training. We welcome you to this space, which is coordinated and hosted by the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, FARA, and in collaboration with CIAT and Alliance Biodiversity under the AICCRA project. And it's really a great pleasure to have you join this. We are going to have our principals officially welcome all of us to this training, because today is the first time. And then we would go into some of the do's and don'ts, or just to run us into what we expect within this 3-4 webinar sessions. At this point, and without wasting much time, I want to invite one of our principals to welcome participants. As I can see now, we have about 77 participants so far, so I am sure that we would have more coming in. So I want to use this opportunity, and by the way, my name is Benjamin Abugri. I lead the Knowledge Management, Digitalization and Learning Cluster at the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa. And we are hosting this webinar together with my colleagues who are in the who are handling things technically. We have Francis Podo, who is our IT manager, managing the meeting room. I have Christabel Esel, who is our translator. And just as I mentioned her name, just to let you know that this is a bilingual training. So I am speaking English. Please, for those who do not have much English background, please switch to the French channel so that you can have the interpretation succinctly done. So I encourage all of us to switch to our language of comfort. So just go to one of the icons under your Zoom platform, look for interpretation, click on it. It's like a globe. So you click on it, and then you select the language of your choice. So we are ensuring that nobody is disadvantaged because of this very interesting training that we are going to experience. So Christabel is our translator. She will be on the background working with our interpreters. to get this thing, get the best for us. I also have Alan Pinanich Shakil, who is also doing a lot of the graphic works at the background and giving us all these displays that we see. And then I have Prince Owusu, also an IT support, working with us at the background, together with other team members from CIAT, Esther and the team. And we also have our facilitators all joining us today. So today is the start, and just to move on straight to the welcome our principals, and I'm going to start with our director from CIAT, Dr. Robert Zongmori, who would give us the welcome address. And then after that, my director of research and innovation at FARA, who is also with us, would also give us a welcome address. And then they will release us to go into the classroom and start this training. So on this note, I want to have the pleasure to welcome Dr. Robert to deliver his welcome note to all participants, who are now about 80. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes.
Thank you. Warm greetings to all participants in the room. These greetings are coming from Senegal, Dakar, where myself and Matthew Ouedraogo are based. Thank you for attending this important webinar series. Let me start by saying that we are very pleased and honored to collaborate with FARA, our able Continental Agricultural Research Forum, in order to deploy some of the innovations that the AICCRA project has been developing over the last 5 years. And perhaps it may be good that I speak a bit about what is AICCRA before we can move to the specifics. So AICCRA stands for Accelerating Impact of CGIAR Climate Research for Africa. And actually, we are building on the 50 years innovations from the CGIAR and partners. And we work with national and regional organizations across the continent to provide access to and also enable the use of enhanced climate information services and validated technologies and practices of climate smart agriculture to benefit millions of farmers, smallholder farmers across the continent. So basically, as you can see, it's a scaling project. And through our innovative partnership, CGIAR-led innovations are being delivered on a scale that really meets, the climate crisis. AICCRA is intervening in 6 countries, mainly Senegal, Ghana, Mali, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Zambia, and also in a number of regional initiatives in West Africa and East and Southern Africa. As I said, we are now after 5 years of implementation, and let me give you a sense of what we have achieved. For instance, as of now, close to 11 million beneficiaries have accessed science evidence CSA and or CIS technologies in the different countries, the intervention countries. So they access to all these innovations. About 2 million beneficiaries were able to use effectively these enhanced CSA and CIS validated technologies across the 6 countries, and close to 200 CIS and or validated CSA technologies originating from, AICCRA intervention countries have been also made accessible to other CSA countries, sub-Saharan African countries. This is what we call the spillover effect. in a way that what we have generated within the 6 intervention countries can be also beneficial, to other countries within Sub-Saharan Africa. And to finish on this, we have also initiated the development of a catalog of innovations that will really be used as a sort of dissemination product that, for instance, FARA can use, So as you can see, the partnership with FARA is really a great opportunity for us to deploy, all the science evidence and proven technologies for climate information services, for climate smart agriculture, technologies and practices. But how do we make sure that this can be sustainably systematized, beyond the AICCRA project? And this is where the team, the CIAT team, has been working to explore how to develop, some sort of business models around the CIS and CSA bundles. Because climate information services without actionable recommendation and advisories will not make the point, right? And so by doing this bundling, we ensure that we are making actionable the recommendation in terms of climatic risk and anticipate actually how to better manage these climatic risks using the best bet CSA practices and technologies. And I really think that this partnership with FARA will really be a big milestone, in the sense that FARA being, the continental head entity that really spearheads, all the innovations, more specifically on climate smart agriculture, we cannot find a better entity to undertake the systematization of this initiative. So I won't be too long, because I know that there will be some specifics during the different courses. But again, I wanted to finish here by thanking FARA for accepting to collaborate with us on this. And we hope that we will fulfill, your ambition, and we look forward to a fruitful collaboration going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robert. These very impressive figures that have been mentioned. And so at this point, I would want to invite the Director for Research and Innovation of FARA, Professor Oluwole Fatumbi, to also deliver the welcome address from FARA to demonstrate how the collaboration has really been very strong all these years. Over to you, Prof.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Benjamin, and my good brother, Robert. It's an exciting time. And, a time like this, and the subject matter of this webinar is topical to the number of things that is happening in Africa. Let me just corroborate the background that Robert laid already, that climate change is real. We know that for more than 20 years now on this continent. Maybe when we started this discussion, we're a bit skeptical. Is this real? Is this not real? But it has beaten all of us to it. I tell you, the troubles in the drier part of Africa, even to the wet part, the type of climate changes that we begin to see is hard. And the statistics that came up then, that Africa will be the continent that will suffer most, is now very real. Possibly not because Africa is the biggest contributor, but because of structural problems that already exist in Africa and our inability to prepare and take this shock and risk. It is noteworthy that technologies are here and we have it. Now, I remember about 10 years ago, I was asking Robert that where and what is climate smart agricultural technology? Robert, you remember that big question? And my brother just looked at me, Wally, but why? But today, the technologies are clearly defined. We see them, we begin to appreciate them. But we are beginning to see that as much as we have solutions to almost all the problems we have, the technologies are not gaining traction as we want it to be. So we want it more. We want it scaled up, scaled out, scaled deep, and begin to yield huge socio-economic benefit as we desire. So I begin to reckon with the subject of this webinar, that packaging these technologies, aligning it and ensure that it is smart, okay, with the latest desire on the continent. Because I hope you know that contrary to what it used to be, 35% of farmers in Africa now are young people that are ICT savvy. Whatever technology we give to them that is not compliant with mechanization, with ICT, with digitalization, with artificial intelligence, they just drop it on one side. And that is making it very important for us to package this technology and maybe confine it in such a way that it will be acceptable. So information becomes vital. And when the title of this is Bundle Climate Information Services and Climate Smart Agriculture becomes the topic for the moment. And just like Robert said, we want as many people to have this information. So I want to say that the participant in this webinar, you are not just participant to gather the knowledge, but I have a type of notion that you will convert yourself to a trainer so that you become an agent of dissemination for the skill you are going to acquire in the next 2 or 3 sessions where all the information will be delivered. Let me make this last point now close. Business model. The business model confines in this is really very important to me. One of the things that is pushing Africa back from so many technologies and information is lack of presentation in business model. Maybe if our technology is not business savvy, it will not. I mean, somebody said technologies is driven by commercial opportunities. And so without that commercial opportunities, we don't know what we're talking about. And so I don't want to preempt our great speaker today, what is going to give unto us, neither do I want to tell you the objective of the webinar. But I know strongly that my brother, the speaker today, Rodrigo Matthews, is a seasoned scientist and is going to be delivering. So I encourage you to open your mind, be ready to grab all the knowledge, be open to ask questions. This is a school. And so ask questions, interrogate the subject, and let's make this webinar interactive. So I want to thank my colleagues in FARA and the big colleague from AICCRA and CIAT. I wouldn't know if our big sister, Ogutu, is online. Thank you also very much for brokering the partnership. FARA is happy to continue to work with the CGIAR and to ensure the development of Africa. On that note, enjoy the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. But colleagues, let's give them some clap as you do. These are very insightful submissions, and I'm sure we are all energized by these high-level interventions this morning. So on this note, we would want to move into the classroom, and then we look at what we need to do, what we are going to gain over this period. Thank you, Professor Fatumbi. Thank you, Dr. Robert. We are very grateful that you were with us. We have the last session on the 28th, which will be dedicated to more conversation. So we'll be looking forward to have you again on the 28th when we have the last webinar to award our participants with their certificates. So just a quick few points before I bring in the main trainer. Just a few points for you to take note of. Please note that over 600 participants registered for this, showed interest in participating in this training. And so we still look forward to those who can join, but we also take it for the fact that those who haven't been able to join are people who have interest in the subject and would get some updates on what is going on. As we mentioned, this is a certification program. And so there are about 3 sessions that we are going to go through, 3 technical sessions, today's session, the next session on 21st, the third one on 25th, and then the last one is not going to be a session like a training session, but it's going to be the closing session where we would have some few words, some few actions, and then you are awarded your certificates. As we mentioned in the adverts, please note that this is a certificated training, and so a certification training. So take note that your qualification for full award of a certificate of this training will require that you have participated fully in the 3 key sessions. So please take note. Those who would get their certificates would be those who have participated in all the 3 sessions. And we want you to take that very seriously. We also have indicated that we have a community. We are also building a community beyond this training. So we would be sharing with you the link for you to join the community that will allow you to have more engagements, a community that will allow you to be able to access all these training materials, and then the community that will allow you to have access also to the contact of your colleagues so that you can continue to engage in this. For all you know, this is a very good connecting point for people to collaborate and come up with projects that would transform your communities. And so this is something that is also of great essence to us. As we mentioned, there are going to be 3 sessions, and today's session, which will be facilitated by Dr. Matthew Rodrigo, senior scientist, agricultural economist from Alliance of Bioversity and CIAT, would be leading this. And then it will focus on the introduction to climate resilience, the fundamental concepts, principles, practices, and benefits of the climate information systems and the climate smart agriculture. So this is going to be our first session, and the next session would follow in that order. As you might have already been, you have read already, we are looking at, we will be looking at other 2 sessions. The second one will be on the bundling and business models for scaling the CSI and CSA, where our trainer will take us through the overview, case studies, and best practices. And then the last one would be on the AICCRA scaling framework, where we would be exposed to the detailed explanation, implementation strategies, and tools. And so these will be the 3 key technical sessions. And then the last one would be the one that would the session to develop the action plan and then also to award certificates. So you are most welcome to this particular session. I want to emphasize the role of the interpretation again. We have interpretation facility where, based on your language of comfort, whether English or French, you have the opportunity to go through this training without any barrier with regards to language. And as we said, based on our capacity, we're able to provide just for English and French, and like in line with the African Union languages that have been certified for engagement within the continent. We've already spent some more time, so I want to just encourage participants to introduce yourselves on the chat. I mean, as the session goes on, just put your name, where you are linking us from, and then what you do. But on the chat, just for people to know you, for colleagues to know you. And if you have any challenge, just put on the text, the chat, put it on the chat. Also, just to draw your attention that for security reasons and just to ensure that the training goes on smoothly, all video and audio the mics have been deactivated for all participants. This would help us have some kind of decorum. I mean, a lack of not maybe other interventions. However, you are open to engage. So I want to encourage us. If you want to say something, just click on raise your hand. We would allow you to speak, or we'll allow you to on your camera and then say whatever you need to say. So you are not restricted. You are just maybe giving, we are just, because it's an online facility, we are just ensuring that everybody is safe. So if you want to talk, just raise your hand and talk, and we will give you the space to talk. And that is just a simple action that you will need to take. So I think for each of the sessions, the facilitator will take us through some pre-evaluation, and then at the end of the session, we would have a post-evaluation to help us know how far we have gone. So I, at this point, would want to use the opportunity or seize the opportunity to invite our first facilitator, Dr. Matthew Rodrigo, a senior scientist at Alliance for Biodiversity and CIAT, who will take us through the first session on the introduction to climate resilience. Dr. Rodrigo, participants are ready for you. Currently, we have 106. We welcome you to take us through these sessions. And as I indicated, please participants, there will be a pre-evaluation. So be in readiness to answer a few questions, just 5 key questions, and then that would launch us into the main training. So over to you, Dr. Rodrigo.
Okay, thank you very much, Benjamin. Thank you, the principals, Dr. Robert, Professor Wole. It's a pleasure for me to start this first series of webinar. I say my name is Matthew Rodrigo, and I am working with for the Alliance, Bioversity, and CIAT. I'm an agricultural economist with expertise in climate-smart agriculture and climate information services, as well climate security. And today, basically, this first session will be about the fundamental, the concept, the principle, and the practices, the benefit of climate information services and climate-smart agriculture, because we are talking about bundles. But to go for bundles, you should know at least what every component is talking about. So I will go through this concept today. And to do that, I will follow this outline. Basically, I will give first the objective of this session, and I will explain somehow why climate change matters for agriculture in Africa. And then I will go through the concept of climate-smart agriculture, climate information services. I will talk about the implementation, approach for this climate-smart agriculture in CIS, and also try to go through the challenges that people are facing while adopting climate-smart agriculture and climate information services. So our expectation is we are expecting that by the end of this first session, the participants should be able to understand all the concepts related to climate-smart agriculture as well as climate information services. They would like them to understand the benefit of using this approach. They want also to understand the implementation approach, and also we want them to know the key challenges associated with the implementation of CIS and CSA. But at the end, we are expecting that through all those knowledge, they will be able to apply this to inform strategy that enhance climate resilience and sustainable agricultural practices in African context. So before starting, I will request to bring the questionnaire, the pre-assessment questionnaire, where I really want to understand your level of exposure to this concept of climate smart agriculture and climate information services. It's 5 questions, multiple choice. Feel free to fill them.
Okay, so we have just, I think, about 30 seconds to get this question through. I can see it moving slowly. How well do you understand the impact of climate change on agriculture in your area? This is just the question. At least we look forward to having a minimum of 20 answering. We have over 100 now, so let's have over 20 answering. You have 10 seconds to end this session, this question. So, yes. Great. I think we are almost getting to 100. Okay. 54 of 54. We are still 50%. Yeah. 53. Okay. 60. Let's hit 60 and then we move to the next question. Okay. We have 60. Great. Almost 60%. All right. Maybe for the sake of time, I think we can move to the next question.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Oh, sorry, it was one question. It was the 5 questions in all. So.
Oh, okay. You moved.
Yeah, I
oh,
think.
Okay.
So
okay.
I think it's okay.
Okay.
So got 66
okay,
people
so
answering the 5.
Oh, they have 61 people.
Yeah, 66 people answering all the 5 questions. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it was. Otherwise, we would have just
So that's
gotten
the results.
close to 200.
Yeah.
I thought it was just this one question.
No.
Sure.
So I'm just showing the results now.
Okay. So we are 62% answering. That makes up 66 of the participants. Okay, so we are seeing question 1. Yeah, showing the results for question. So do you want to move to the next, or is my screen? I'm seeing only the display of question 1 results.
So can you see question 2 now?
No.
I'm sharing.
Okay.
So you can scroll down if you can see my screen.
Yeah, now I scrolled and saw, yeah.
Yeah, so you can just scroll down and see.
Okay. Okay, so Dr. Rodrigo, I think you have your results there in case you want to speak with it.
Yeah, I see that we have a few people that are not at all exposed to this thematic, but we can feel that we have also a lot of experts, for instance, regarding the first question, how people understand the impact of climate change, we can easily have like 30%, 31% of people who are a good understanding of the impact of climate change. That's very interesting. In terms of familiarity with the CIS, we have 50, let's say 30% of people very familiar. It's important. We have some few people who are not familiar at all. In terms of CIS, I see that most of the people, 91 selected conservation agriculture as a CIS practices. This is very fine. So I can see that we have all people in this room, those who are moderately expert. We have some expert and we have some new. So what we do is try to, at the end of the day, making people, those who are at no familiar level, be more moderate. And so this is the target of this quick survey. So saying that, we'll continue with the first section. How do I do? I can leave it then. So, okay, now. Okay, now, the first element I want to go through is to understand why climate change matters for agriculture in Africa. And during the opening speech, you remember Professor Wole went through this evidence that now Africa is really exposed to climate change, and Africa is one of the continents who is really, the thing is warming faster than the other part of the continent. And this led to some frequent drought, flood, and extreme weather event. And across the country, you will see that, across the continent, you will see that things are different depending where we are. For instance, in northern part of the continent, the western part of the continent, we are more drier, desertification, and water stress. But for instance, for central part of the continent, we have more flooded, risk for flooding. And for a small island, we have this sea level rising as a most trend for the climate change. And this leads to some impact in terms of crop productivity, because we are noticing the decline of yield, and also due to the shortening of the growth season, but also due to the decrease of rainfall. And also we have some impact related to soil degradation, and these also lead to loss of fertilities. And at the end of the process, this is reducing land productivity. We have some impact also related to livestock with the heat stress, the reduction of forage, and also the risk for animal diseases. And this also impact the livestock productivity. We have also some impact related to water stress, to drought, but also pest and disease and extreme event. And all those impacts lead to the reduction of productivity, crop productivity in general. And why it is the problem per se? Because if you look at the impact of climate change, there is a kind of implication in terms of land cover. And this reduce our ability to grow food and in the context of climate change. And what you should also notice that in Africa, most of the farmers, they are producing in rain-fed system. And with the climate change, it's become critical really to produce in this system. So the main problem, the main consequence is the risk of insecurity that we are facing. In the meantime, we notice also the demographic pressure, where we have an increase of the population by 2.6%. And this, if you want to feed this population, we need to produce more, meaning that we need to increase our production by 60 to 70% by 2050. And how, the question is, how do we do? What kind of agriculture do we, will you practice in this context to be able to feed the population, the growing population, while we know that the climate change is happening with some negative impact on our ability to produce? This is really the question we have in Africa. And to respond to that, we are lucky, I will say that, we are lucky. We have this concept of climate smart agriculture, which is a solution to transform and reorient agricultural system to support security, food security under the new reality of climate change. So this is the way really to respond to the context where Africa is with the climate change. And this CSA is designed to address three principal goals. The first being to increase in sustainable manner the productivity and the income. And the second being to increase and enhance the resilience and adaptation to climate change. And the third objective of CSA is really to reduce greenhouse gas emission. And all those things should be done with the objective to reach the national food security and the development goal. Sometimes we are thinking that agriculture is impacted by climate change, and this is the issue we are always raising. But we know also that agriculture also is contributing to climate change. So that's why the pillar of reducing greenhouse gas from the agricultural sector is important in the context of climate change adaptation. Here, what is climate smart agriculture? Sometimes when we are looking, we are hearing people, it's happened that sometimes people think that it's only the practices, the technology. No, climate smart agriculture goes beyond the practices. It's other dimension that could be technical, political, or investment condition to really achieve sustainable agricultural development for food security. And this is something we should know, and later on we'll come on those differences in terms of climate smart agriculture concept. Other thing also that we should know is climate smart agriculture is context specific, and it's depend on the priority. So for instance, we have several interventions. Sometimes they can be climate smart in some area, but not in other area. And those we are maybe from some area like Sahel, West Africa. If I take an example of CIAT, for instance, it's work in some area, but for instance, the sandy, the land where we have more sun, and so it could not work. So we need to consider CIS as something that should be contextualized depending on where we are. So it's not one should fit all. It's something that is context specific, and this is something you should know. Now, regarding the pillar of climate smart agriculture, we have the mitigation, we have the productivity, and we have adaptation. So everything you want to assess to see to what extent it is climate smart in terms of technology or practices, you should look at this component. Yes, you should look at the productivity, what happened when you are using the technology, for instance, how it increased, for instance, the yield, and the yield is also known as the post-harvest loss. When we reduce the loss, you are getting more yield compared. somebody who are facing post-harvest loss. So the yield should be understood as yield, but also a reduction of post-harvest loss. And also, when we are talking about productivity, the income also is part. It's something that we should consider. And the second pillar related to the adaptation, we should look at everything in the production system. For instance, we should look at the water, how water is used. If the water is used in smart way, for instance, you look at the water availability that the technology or the practice can bring, the water use efficiency when you are using a technology, how efficient it is, the water quality, the ecosystem function, the shore water retention capacity. So we should analyze in regard with this water smartness. And the second is to look at the soil, how your technology or your practice is disturbing the soil. Those are something you can think about. And also the information in terms of adaptation, the information, how we manage climate risk, how climate risk you use or you prevent climate risk, how we use some technique like the diversification, or you are using the local knowledge to really handle this issue of information for adaptation purposes. So this is something you should think about when you are talking about the adaptation. Now, for the third pillar, regarding the mitigation side also, you should look at how smart is the energy used from the system you want to analyze, to assess. You can look at the use of, for instance, from fossil fuel, the use of renewable source of energy. And also you should look at the carbon side of the technology you are using, how this conserve or improve the carbon of the soil, those kind of things. We should also look at the methane, because the methane is something that is part of the greenhouse gases. So you can see how the system, what you are what you are applying can affect, the emission of methane. And here, usually it's when we are looking at the livestock or some production in irrigated system, you can even see this kind of situation that you need to assess. And also, you can also look at how nitrogen is smart in this technology, to look at the nutrient use, the efficiency. Those are some information that you should look at when you want to assess, to see to what extent a practice or a solution or the technology is climate smart. So during CICAF and also at Alliance, they have this, let's say this graph here, when we do the assessment, providing some score of to what extent your technology is smart in terms of productivity, mitigation. You can come with this graphic, which is nice. And something also you should look at is to say, okay, if you assess and technology based on this pillar, sometimes you will see that the technology are not meeting all the goals. For instance, the technology can be more productive, but less in terms of adaptation score. So what we want is how in our agricultural system will bring those components so that we come with a package that can be more climate smart, addressing all the components. And this is something that we have some evidence on, bringing several technologies and make the full package more climate smart. So when you are talking about climate smart option, it's good to look at the weather, how we are using the weather, how we are using the water, how we are using the breeds and seeds, how we are using the carbon, the nutrient, but also the institutional, the market, because sometimes we are forgetting this institutional arrangement, those kind of that can allow the implementation of climate smart agriculture. And saying that, we have some example here. I will not emphasize here on the weather and smart activity, because we will come back to We'll come back to climate information services, but we have climate smart practices related to the water, such as community management of water. We'll provide some example on some technology. The seed and the breedings, most of the time we are looking at improved adapted variety and breeds that could be drought tolerant, flood tolerant, or heat tolerance, or insect or pest tolerance. Those are kind of technology that can come in terms of seeds and breeds. For the nutrient, we have those techniques related to agroforestry, minimum tillage, soil and water conservation. There's many things there. And for the institution, you can even look at the local institution that we put in place, like the learning platform, the farm-to-farm learning mechanism that can help people really to implement this climate smart agricultural technology. So here we have some example. I mean, most of you, maybe you know them. For instance, we look at crop association, rotation, organic manure use. We look at microdosing of fertilizer, but also of organic manure, the mulching. All those are some techniques that are known in Sahel zone that we have some evidence that they are improving some of the productivity, the adaptation side, but also the mitigation side. We have also some technology related to water smart practices, and here is also an example of the Sahel zone. We have this Alphamon, ZIP, Stoneball. All those techniques help really to improve the water retention in the soil, and they are part of water retention techniques. We have also the irrigation with some clean, let's say, solar power, which is more clean energy, and also contribute, for instance, compared to the fuel, the use of the fuel, contribute to reduce the mitigation aspect of our agricultural practices. We have also some technology related to the post-harvest. Sometimes we are analyzing and we are stopping at a production step, but we should go beyond the post-harvest, even the processing of the product. All those steps we need to understand what we are doing. We should look at the whole value chain where we can improve in terms of climate smart practices. And here we have some example of triple bag, use of storage, or use of solar power for the processing of some product. So in terms of benefit, I will just take 2 examples here. We have, for instance, the mulching, which is known, for instance, to conserve soil moisture and lower soil temperature around the plant root for several days if you add this mulching. We have, for instance, the tillaging. With this, we can increase the storage and also allow more time for the rainfall to infiltrate the soil. And this is something that also helps to make water available for the plant, and then could also reduce the runoff. And also, this is something, all those techniques contribute really to improve the yield. And we have other technology, and you remember the Professor Robert at the introduction was talking about the catalog, so you can go through the catalog to see a number of practice that could be considered as climate smart technology. But the thing is, what I want you to understand is, whatever they say the technology is, for instance, agroecological technology, nature-based technology, I am not focusing on the concept, but look at these technologies, how they are contributing to the 3 pillars. This is the important thing. You do the assessment, and at the end of the day, you will respond to your own question. I know in terms of concept, there are a lot of discussion ongoing, debate on that, but the thing is you assess, and at the end, you will be able to respond to your question in terms of the technology or the practice is climate smart or not. So now I will move to the climate information services. And here there is key concepts that everyone should know before talking about climate information services. And these concepts are the weather. What is the weather? This is something, the definition, you can find it everywhere. It is the atmospheric condition at the specific place and time. So giving this specific place and time, we can say, okay, it's raining today. For instance, we have speed wind during the afternoon, for instance. Tomorrow morning, we will have a heat. Those are the information related to the weather. And this related in terms of scale, it's more from hour to few days that we have those kind of information. And we are using this information usually for a short-term decision making. If you are, for instance, a lady want to dry, for instance, some product like maize, you should, with this information, you can say, okay, today I put my maize outside or not. And this kind of information is more a short-term decision that we use for those kind of information. So the second concept that you should also know is the climate. The climate, this is more, let's say, something that we assess for the decade or more longer, but it's more an average pattern of weather over the long period. Usually we are using like 30 years and above to have a definition of the climate. And here, for instance, I can talk about dry and wet season. This is more climate. And the use we are doing with this kind of information, it's more for the planning, you know, infrastructure development, those kind of things. We can use this kind of information for decision making. And the third concept is climate variability. This is something also we come every time, but it's more in terms of fluctuation in the climate from year to year or from the season to the season. So we have this variability. And we can say, for instance, the rainy season we start late this year and next year is that early, you know, we find a kind of variation in terms of the onset. But for instance, the year where we have less rainfall and the second year we have more rainfall, you know, we'll have this kind of variability related to the amount of rainfall we get. So this kind of information related to the climate variability. And usually this time scale is from month to year. And we are using also this kind of information for decision making, let's say for selecting the crop, the variety of crop, or, you know, going for the insurance plan. If you know that there is a high variability in your region, what kind of insurance you can take. Those kind of information are used for this, this type of decision making. Now the last is the climate change, something that every time we are in the COP in somewhere in Belém. So this more about climate change, and this is a long-term shift in climate patterns. So the time scale goes to the decade to the century, from the decade to the centuries. And usually we are talking about rising of average temperature, global warming, you know, changing in rainfall patterns, more frequent extreme weather events. So these are some examples related to climate change. And here we are using this kind of information for adaptation planning, you know, national development strategy for a long period. So here, those key concepts should be understood depending on this time scale where we are. Yeah, but we are using almost also climate information for this. Now, with this key concept, what is the climate information service? We'll find several definitions, but you should know that all these definitions are linked to climate information for decision making. This is the important thing for agriculture, information for decision making. And for instance, if you look at the service provider and you take the example of World Meteorological Organization, It's more the provision and use of climate data, information, and knowledge to assist decision-making. So we still have decision-making using information. If you look at the side where we have organization with the user community, we can have a broad definition, and here it's more related to the production, translation, transfer, and use of climate knowledge and information in climate-informed decision-making and climate-smart policy and planning. So everywhere it's about information and decision-making. Now, this involves what? Gathering some information, analyzing information, contextualizing, packaging, and disseminating. And this dissemination, the objective is to reach some user, and it can be done through several mechanisms that most of you know. And the end goal is to benefit those people. Could be the farmer, could be fisherman, could be livestock header, to prepare and cope with climate risk, and also to anticipate. This really what climate information service mean. Then we have 4 pillars, the 4 pillars that we should consider here. The first is the generation, how we generate. So to generate the climate information, usually this is the scientific foundation of climate information services. And most of the time, it's met services at regional or national level or global institutions that are working on this kind of task. And it's more about historic climate record, climate weather data, seasonal forecast, and early warning. And this need to be really reliable so that people can trust on this. You can build the other step based on how reliable are these information. And the second pillar is translation. I think during the opening remark, Professor Robert said that the thing is not getting the information, the climate information. It's most what we do with this information. It's mean that we must proceed a tailored, recommendation that the user can use to solve the problem. So it's not really going from the raw data that we can get from the first pillar, but how we work to make this information usable for the farmer or for every users. So here, for instance, we need a lot of things. We need, for instance, crop modelers, specialists, agrometeorologists, which would work to, for instance, predict the yield, those kind of work. It's more research. And we, in this system, we are most of the time researchers, the agriculture specialists and extensionists together through some technical committee try to come with some information based on the climate data generated in the first pillar. Now, after we get the information, the third pillar will be the transfer, the dissemination. Here it's how we communicate climate information in the way that it reaches the people, the users, but reaching the user also on time, because what we used to say, climate information is something that's perishable. Because if we say, okay, tomorrow it will rain and you should be prepared for tomorrow, and somebody give you the information after tomorrow, it's not useful, because we need to have this at the right time to make the decision. And usually there are some channel for this climate information dissemination. It's go from SMS alert, radio, application, digital application, community meetings. Sometimes we have some face-to-face discussion with the farmers. We are also using the extension system agent that can also provide the information, share the information with the user. We have some platform. There are a lot of things that we can leverage in terms of digital to disseminate the information. And the last but not the least is the use of the information. Yeah, because as I said before, the definition of climate information says it's information, but decision making. So the use is very important to take decision based on climate information. And at this level, also we need, for instance, to capacitate the users, train them, build their capacity, so that when they receive them, how they use properly the information to benefit from the information. And this is very important to consider. Now, here are some examples for the agricultural sector that we are using climate data to generate information tailored to the user's need. And here, for instance, if the farmer gets the information at the beginning of the season, like the onset forecast, he can identify the time of the field preparation, but also the planning. This is something that guides the starting of the year. And for instance, if we have some information related to the seasonal rainfall, the total rainfall for the season, this also will help, for instance, to select, for instance, the crop that we use, the species and of crops, but also the variety of crop. But also if, for instance, you need to come with a supplemental irrigation, knowing the water requirement for your crop, if you can take some measure to address in case the rainfall expected one will not be enough for the crop. And this is important. And also when we have the information on the cessation, the end of the season, this also is important to plan even the time for the land preparation and the planting, because it's important. If you know that, for instance, the cessation will be late, you can see what kind of, when exactly you plant, for instance, your crop. So this has some information, some decision that we can make based on the knowledge of the cessation of the season. So here we have some example of use of climate information, for instance, in Rwanda, where the climate-based management practice increased net revenue from crops by 52% for maize and 62% for bean. This is some evidence. We have also the fact that climate-informed management also increased the yield by 47% here for maize and beans. So there are here several years with some several evidence that show how climate information use can improve the yield for some crops. So here also we have some evidence from our previous work where we noticed that using climate information also improves the technical efficiency as well as the productivity and income of some crops. We have some evidence for cowpea in Burkina Faso. We have some evidence on sorghum and millet in Senegal, where using climate information improve the productivity. And we have also some evidence from some study where the use of climate information improve the decision making, but also increase the adoption rate of CSA practices, because climate information inform also the decision on using or not using a specific climate information, climate smart agricultural practices. And this is something interesting. Maybe for the next session, they will come more on it because it's more bundling. Here we are bundling climate information services and climate smart agriculture to make more profit and also to benefit more from the synergy we have between these two components of climate resilience in agriculture. So here, this is what I want to share in terms of climate information services. Now we'll move to the approaches for implementing CSA and CIS for climate resilience. But here I want to highlight something here. When we are defining climate smart agriculture, I was saying that it's not only practice and technology. It goes beyond. We have policy there, we have technology, we have, here it's to show that the climate smart agriculture could happen at several levels. For instance, the technology, the practice is more at plot level, but we have some negotiation also at global level. The proof is this week people are in Belém and climate smart agriculture will come in the discussion. So it means that at global negotiation and agreement, climate smart is there. And also the global modeling, for the modeling side also, we have climate smart agriculture is there. At national level, in terms of policy, we have all those NDC, all those NAP, all those MANA that also use climate smart agriculture, and we have some specific institutions. So here we should note that depending on where you are acting, you can have to address your specific need for climate smart agriculture. If I am a decision maker, for instance, the policy side, you can think about what could be the best approach to implement the CSA. Saying that, here I borrow this from FAO, and you still see that here we need first to make the evidence and expand the evidence that the technology, the approach, the practice is working. We need a kind of evidence. And most of the time through AICCRA, Robert said that, for instance, we have more than over 200 technology developed, well structured. So this kind of evidence, research can provide this evidence. So we need this. And the second thing is we need to have a support, the enabling policy, for instance, framework that can help to deploy all those things. And this is very important. We need also to strengthen the national and local institutions related to the topic, which is climate information services and climate smart agriculture. And also one of the concerns is how we address the financial issue. So we need to enhance the financing issue if we want really to implement CSA. And we need to develop those things on the ground. On the ground, we have also some tools to apply this technology on the ground. I will come to some of them. But here it's the frame where we have some 5 important things that you should consider while implementing a CSA and CIS for climate resilience. At Alliance and also under AICCRA, for instance, I want to take this example of the CSA investment plan. This is at national level where we use these tools, for instance, to identify concrete action that the government can take to boost CSA, both in the form of investment opportunity, but also in the policy design and implementation. And this kind of approach has been applied in several countries, and we are continuing applying it through Alliance. And here there is some steps. Let me remove this. There is some steps. We should go through this step. For instance, understanding the vulnerability, the impact, through the situation analysis. And then from this step, we can come with a set of adaptation option practices, and then we prioritize them. When we prioritize them, we try to proceed by cost effectiveness analysis of this prioritized option. And at the end, we try to gather this in terms of small project, like an idea of project, and we can put all those nicely in the frame of investment plan that the country can use for fundraising or also any action that you want to implement regarding the climate smart agriculture. So, and with this, for instance, we have some example, as I said, for instance, in Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and Ghana, and recently even in Senegal, we launched this climate smart investment plan last month in Senegal. It was a nice event. And this climate smart investment plan can be done at several scales. For instance, we say, okay, national for country, but also we can downscale it at district, county, state level, or any small level that we can operationalize the development plan in the country. Here we have some example of CSA investment plan developed at state level in Nigeria, for instance, for Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. And for instance, in Nigeria, in Kenya, we have some example at county level that we can share the link later for those who want to dig in. As I was saying that, for instance, this is at national level, one example. But at community level, we have also an example that has been developed since, I would say now 15 years, with CICAF, and AICCRA leverage on CICAF for fundings to scale the evidence. And this is what we call climate smart village process, where we test some technology or institution or option that can deal with climate change in agriculture, addressing at the same time the productivity, adaptation, and mitigation pillar. And we consider this village as a kind of learning site where we produce evidence for scaling perspective. And those villages has been developed in some number of countries in 5 regions of the world, but also mostly in Africa, that we continue to develop this kind of villages. And from these villages, we have some evidence that, for instance, we have been able to increase the diffusion and adoption of CSA option in this village. So meaning that this kind of approach has a potential for scaling climate smart agriculture. And we also provide evidence on what technology work, where, with whom, and this evidence also, I think, are part of the catalog that have been developed under AICCRA and can also help for decision making. So this an example of community-based approach to test, to develop, and to scale climate smart agriculture technology and practices. The last one, I was referring here to the institutional support and policy, where you can notice that there are some alliance for CSA. At global level, we are talking about the GACSA, which is the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture. At African level, we have Africa CSA Alliance, with objective to scale up climate smart agriculture in Africa. And these have been created since 2014. And following this, for instance, in West Africa, we created this West African CSA Alliance called WACSA, with also the mandate to try to promote climate smart agriculture. And we have other policy in every country, like the nationally determined contribution. And we'll see that most of the countries say, okay, they will meet their objective in terms of NDC through applying climate smart agriculture. So these are also some enabling environment that contribute to promote climate smart agriculture. So this is nice, but what happened on the ground is that to apply CSA and CIS, people are facing to some constraints. And here I have some number of constraints, but I can go through some to provide some tailored example for the specific country where we see the constraint happen. For instance, if you look at the financial barrier, when you go for most of the six AICCRA countries, we'll see that the high cost, for instance, limit farmer ability to adopt improved seed. This is something we can notice also for irrigation and also some soil health technology. And for instance, for Ghana, you can see that when we have a late delivery of subsidies input for the farmer, they are not applying this seed regarding the recommended planting calendar. So it's mean that those kind of constraints affect the good use of the appropriate use of CSA. And we can also see how, for instance, the limited access to credit also impact the investment in irrigation, for instance, in Ethiopia, or also for those investment in terms of forage, those kind of investment. So the financial barriers is something you should consider. People are facing to that at, let's say, not at globally, but at the user level. I'm talking about the farmers and so. We have also one of the challenges is the extension and also the knowledge gap. The extension service is fell in most of the country. We have a limited number of staff to deal with the number of farmers. For instance, if we take an example of Ghana and Tanzania, where we have, let's say, for instance, one extension officer for more than 1,000 farmers. It's not really, I would say, effective for them to really reach with the advisory we need in terms of CSA. Yeah, we have also this weak digital literacy, because we think that digital can really help to reach more people, but in the meantime, we have this literacy among the farmers to really use the digital tools for this perspective. We have one challenge also is the climate and environment stressor. What happened exactly is we are trying to find some solution to address the ongoing climate impact. But in the meantime, climate is still becoming worse. Things is coming worse. So we should continue working, to improve what we have as a technology. And this also, it's a challenge. We need to be more proactive, reactive with the new stressor. And this is something that also we can notice. One of the challenges also is the land tenure and the gender constraint. And this is something that we can notice in most of the country where women or youth, they are not, they don't have control of land. But as during the opening session, Prof. Wole said the number of the percentage of youth we have in the system. So if you want them to be part of the agricultural transformation from using CSA and CIS, we need to find a way to address this issue related to the access and control of land for them. And we have this infrastructure and market limitation. This is something we can notice, because if you want to have more incentives, if you want to promote some technology that are not really benefiting farmers because the weakness of the infrastructure, the poor market linkage, we cannot push people, because we talk about business model. Business model means we are profit, we are making money. So we need to have this, to solve this kind of limitation in terms of infrastructure and auto market, really to boost the adoption of this CSA and CIS technology. And at the end, the last challenge is most the policy and institutional issue, where sometimes we see that there is sometimes the question between what we plan and what we are doing. And there is a kind of weak alignment, and this also the institution we have many institutions, we don't know exactly what they are doing, but at the end, if you do a kind of analysis, it's lowering the adoption of CSA. And this is something also we can notice. For instance, if you take the case of Mali, if the insecurity restrict government in going everywhere, for instance, in Mali currently. If you want to promote your CSA, even we are conducting some study, we need to go where it's more safe to implement. So those kind of institutional and policy also affect the upscale of CSA and CIS. So those are the key constraints that we are facing with regard to the uptake and adoption of climate smart technology and CIS. So to conclude, I'll say that CSA and CIS are essential pillar of sustainable and adaptive agriculture in Africa. And this could be something, it's also relevant for all over country like Latin America and Asia and most of the developing country. And we need an integration of these tools to accelerate transformation to our climate smart livelihoods. And climate resilience in Africa requires coordinated effort in innovative solution. We have some solution, but we need also more effort to put this solution at scale. And we need a collaboration among government, researchers, private sector, and farmers, really, to address most of the key concerns that I talked about recently. In terms of financial barrier, we know that private sector can play a role. So we need a coordination between all those bodies in the country to address this situation. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. So thank you for your attention. I think we have time to go for the Q&A session. Over to you, Benjamin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rodrigo. So this has been a very heavy session. And at this point, we are receiving a lot of claps from the participants. We would want to open up for discussion, questions, and whatever you have. So I can see the hands that are being raised. So maybe we can unshare so that we can see the hands properly. We have a number of hands. Okay. I want to take the first. I think I can see the first four. I see Haruna Yaya, Enoch Wayo, Sogna Gaye, Femin. I think these are the first four I will take. And please, if you can make your questions a bit brief so that we would have more people talking. So whether it's a question, it's a contribution, you are most welcome. So I'm going to start with Haruna Yaya Abdul, then after that Enoch, and then after that Sogna, and then Femin. Then we go to the next batch. So we'll take four. The facilitator would respond, and then we move to the next. So first, Haruna.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for letting me in. My name is Haruna Yahya Abdullahi from Kano, Nigeria. All protocols duly observed, and I so much appreciate your succinct and eloquent presentation, sir, on this timely topic. Sir, your presentation sparked some thought in me about our current agricultural system here in Kano. I want to talk about rain-fed agriculture that we have mostly here in Kano. I learned that one of the problems that our farmers face is about this seasonal variation, whereby you see farmers might start their farming activities very well with hope of getting a kind of a very good yield. But in the end, we may have a situation whereby the rain season might end before the time it was forecasted. So I don't know whether using this system of climate smart agriculture, there is a way we can co-opt irrigation system with rain-fed agriculture so that we can mitigate those kind of challenges that our farmers face. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Haruna. So the doc has taken note. The next, Enoch. Enoch Wayo.
Okay, thank you very much. But now here there is a lot of rain. I know maybe you might understand me, but there's a lot of rain. Anyway, I'll speak. My name is Enoch Wayo. I'm actually getting you from Malawi, Lilongwe. Thank you very much for a good presentation. In fact, what has touched me most is the one we are talking about, the nationally determined contribution, CSA actually having a hand in the nationally determined contribution. My plea is, I think there is need for at least a training. I don't know how best you can put it, so that maybe we can quantify some of the parameters in the CSA which could contribute to, say, the sequestration of carbon, so we can report it in the carbon dioxide as carbon dioxide equivalent. So that's my plea to say, I don't know how best we can have that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Enoch. I'm sure Enoch will have some answers. Then I have Sogna Gai. Just introduce yourself and your question or comment. Yeah, please unmute yourself. Sogna Gai. Can we help unmute her?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, Sogna. Can you hear? We can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Dr. Edraugo. It was a very interesting course. I just have one short question. Just thinking around the presentation, and I really like the part at the end where you talk about gender inequalities as challenge. I was just wondering, how can we integrate in the framing and in the conceptual implementation pillars? How can we think considering gender aspects? As we identify as challenge, I think we might think about how we can consider conceptualizing CSA or CSI to avoid those challenges. For example, if I take the CSA implementation, I can't see any social norm or gender aspects considered, and this is really my why I'm worried about, because I think it's an important aspect we need to consider. I don't know how, and if you have any strategies you are working with for the implementation, maybe you can share that, or if we can maybe improve and consider in the framing. Thank you. Over to you.
All right, thank you. So I think I can't see the last hand again, but these are 3 questions. Maybe Dr. Igbo, you can respond, and then we can move to the next batch of questions. Yeah, Femin, I think Femin hand is up. Let's just take the 4 so that you can answer the 4. Femin, please go ahead. What? Please put your hand again. We need to see where you are so that they can grant you access. Okay, that's fine. All right, so Doc, I think you can go ahead to answer the 3 questions. One on irrigation with rain-fed agriculture, and then the gender issues as well as the issue that was raised by our colleague from Malawi.
Okay. So thank you very much for those for this question. So regarding the Kano, the question from my brother from Kano, yes, what happened is exactly sometimes we do the forecast and farmers think that the season will be late and it's come early. But normally from this from the forecast, when we have this kind of information, the forecast said, for instance, we'll have a late, not the early termination of the season. There is a number of practices that we can recommend based on this forecast. And one of the examples that we apply, for instance, in Burkina is what we call supplemental irrigation. So we are not doing the irrigation from the beginning to the end, but we can have like what we call some reservoir, some basin, so that we have some water and we bring the water at the critical state. And in this situation, it's at the end of the season. So with an early cessation, we can think about this supplementary irrigation. And this also, it's part of the government to decide, to facilitate this kind of construction. It's not very expensive construction, but it's something we can do. We have also some techniques like the mulching. The mulching can also preserve the humidity. So at some point, at the end of the season, if you are facing this kind of thing, you can easily do those kind of mulching. We have a lot of technology because knowing that we'll have, for instance, a early cessation of the season, we should think about bringing some early maturing variety. We have some adaptation technology that you can bring. But what I want to emphasize is when we have this kind of forecast, the forecast comes with some advisory. And it's really how we promote the use of this. And for instance, the supplementary irrigation. This will be something interesting for the situation of Kano. Now, for the situation of Malawi, that's really true because as an agricultural economist, when I saw people putting that they will meet their objective with CSA, sometimes it's more a kind of they are putting in the document, but we don't have enough evidence how this will be, because the situation with and without, we need to quantify those things. And this is something relevant. And I think from Alliance perspective, we have a team working, for instance, CSS readiness, those kind of information. And I think we can think about having a training on how we quantify those kind of information to help, the countries to really have some quantifiable evidence on how really they will reach their goal with CSA. And this also can help them to proceed with the monitoring of the progress for their NDC. And this is something maybe with FARA, we can think about a specific training on how we deliver these SaaS tools for a quantification of CSA. We have some tools, but it's to make this, the country be equipped with this kind of tool and apply in their system to monitor the progress. Regarding the gender side, yes, through the conceptual frame we have from CSA, yes, you don't see exactly where the gender is or the social inclusion, all those things are. But when we are implementing the climate smart agriculture, we have some gender component that has been considered. For instance, we have gender smart climate smart agriculture. There are documents on this. And for instance, when we are deploying, for instance, let's take a case of climate smart village, we have some initial assessment that consider the gender. And even the technology we are promoting, we have some gender sensitive technology. Everything also are analyzed regarding the gender lens to understand how, for instance, we empower women with CSA. So yes, we cannot see this clearly through the concept because the concept is still broad, but for the implementation, I can guarantee you that there are some concepts, there are some documents. And for instance, if you look at AICCRA, we have a cross-cutting team, which is more gender and social inclusion that accompany the implementation and the scaling of CSA practices. And during the third series of the webinar, you will see how we do gender responsive scaling. You get the point? So we consider all those aspects in the CSA implementation. I think I somehow addressed your question.
Yeah, I think this I mean, we can, if they are follow-up, I'm sure they will come up, but these are very succinct responses. I have the next batch of questions, please. We still have a few minutes to be able to discuss. So I have Kabir Abdul Salam's hand up. I haven't seen any other person, but maybe as Kabir is talking, if anyone else want to, please feel free to raise your hand. So Kabir, please go ahead. Introduce yourself and then your question.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Kabir Abdul Salam from Gombe State, Nigeria. Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation. We really enjoy it well. So, like we here in some northern states, like here, Gombe precisely, this smart agriculture, practicing of this smart agriculture is not that much. Most of our local farmers has no knowledge of it. They know nothing about it. At times you see some NGOs are coming to discuss about this smart climate, smart agriculture. So what I want to know, we don't know whether you people can help and create an awareness group or something that can enlighten our local farmers within this area so that they can know more about the climate change agriculture, which they are lacking more knowledge on it. That's my question, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kabir. Yes,
Yes,
taking notes. Farmer level awareness on CSA.
Yes,
So
sir.
then I have three more hands up. First is Juliana Bauer. The next is Rodis. And then the last for this batch would be Banjigu Dembele, my good friend. So I would start with Juliana. Please go ahead. We can't hear you, Juliana. Hello, Juliana. You're muted, but we can't hear you. Okay, then we move to Rodis and Lovu. Please unmute Lovu to make a submission. We will come back to you, Juliana. Maybe if your mic now works, we'll come back to you. So let's take the next person.
Okay, thank you very much. And I mean, for this informative presentation and session. I have a couple of questions. I think the first question really rests on interoperability. I mean, and the question is, how interoperable is the CIS platform with existing national systems? For instance, meteorological services, extension platforms, and digital agriculture solution. And then the next question is, what is the data governance framework? Like, who owns and controls the farmer data, climate data, and then the advisor data? And well, I think the other thing that for me is quite key is how does the model ensure that the benefits of this CIS, CSA reach the poorest farmer, not just the tech-enabled or community oriented ones? Because I think that's really, especially if you look at an African context, you talk of AI and all that, but we are really not addressing those who really wish, and the target group. And then, I mean, how is this CIS are linked to market access, and then the input supply and the extension services and the output and the buyers? Well, and also, does the model integrate pricing data or seasonal market forecasts and the risk analytics that matter to farmers beyond the weather? Because I think that's what we need to see it spreading its tentacles further down. And my last question is, how can CIS inform shock responsive social protection or early warning, early action systems? Thank you.
Okay, that's a loaded 5 questions in one. So we hope that our facilitator will be able to respond to all of them. So because of the load, I'll take the last question and then you see whether you can respond. So the last question is Bandigu Dembele. Just introduce yourself a little and then your question.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me. Hello.
Yes.
I am Bandigu Dembele from Mali. I am a researcher. Okay, thank you, Grandfather Mathieu, for his good presentation. I'm happy to be here with you. So my question is I have only one question. What about local knowledge on climate variability linked to the current productivity? I want to understand that link about current productivity and local knowledge. Okay, thank you. I appreciate a lot.
Thank you very much, Bandigu. So over to you, Dr. Rodrigo. You would answer this, and then if there's still time, we go for the last round of questions.
Okay, thank you. As my friend Bandigu asked me, I will even move to French. Okay. So, voilà, par rapport à votre question, pour ici.
Hello.
Come again? Can I go?
Yes, you can go on.
Okay. So, okay.
So,
it's why, because I'm speaking French, or now you can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yes. I was saying that this question of my friends, I will go in French.
Mm-hmm.
OK? Donc, c'était pour comprendre en fait le rôle des... Okay, so oui, yes, okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay. So here the question is about how we consider the local knowledge, you know, in this current situation. And I will say the local knowledge, if you take the case of Sahelian zone, for instance, you will know that some of the technology like CIAT comes from the local knowledge, and then later on the research try to improve them, bringing, for instance, the manual or those kind of things. So it means that most of things in terms of CSA, we should not forget about the local knowledge. Sometimes you are learning more with them, and we can improve their knowledge, so that at the end of the day, we come with something that is acceptable in the condition, in the local context. So in terms of, for instance, the climate information related to the local knowledge, what happens sometimes, it's in most of the country, farmers used to use the local knowledge in the past, but now as the climate change is becoming more critical, sometimes it's the knowledge is look like something is missing. You know, they are not really now able to really to use it. So it's mean that sometimes we need more than local one. But at any time, I think from my side, those type of knowledge should talk together. With the presence of scientists, we can see how we benefit from the local knowledge addressing the situation of the CSA. And for instance, if you look at the local organization in the country on which we can build for information sharing in the community, you know, sometimes the local arrangement that we have in the country is something that you can leverage on. For instance, in some country, you have the entry point could be the delegate or the chief of the village. Those kind of frame which are more institutional, locally made, could be also used in terms of scaling. So this, for me, those local should talk today, modern, and we should build on the local also to make things more effective. Okay, regarding how we increase the awareness, of people regarding the CSA and CIS, I think this event is one of the events. And my expectation is that we should think about having, for instance, training of trainers. Because at the global level, as Alliance or as a researcher at global level, we cannot really be at sometime at, but we can train people from the national, and they will cascade it from at the national level with the NGO, and the NGO will cascade it to the farmers or the extensionists. You know, let's have this pathway of training, informing, cascading with the suitable people at each level. And I think this would be the way that we can increase the awareness of those technology and practice too at the community level. And regarding this is not one question, but several questions. The governance and the linkage with the market. Yeah, let's summarize things. In each country, we have several institutions. Each institution wants to do what he is good in related to CIS, but we need a kind of government. When I am talking about CSS investment planning, it's something that could be led at global, at national level. And there we have some institutions that can deploy depending on their area of expertise. Because in CSA, you will have climate information, you will have CSA, you will look at livestock, you will look at crop, you will look at, environment. There is many things under the CSA, even we say climate mass agriculture, there are many components. So the governance should be the one who normally know what is the institution, the best institution for this specific, and try to put all those people together to reach the objective. And in terms of linkage with the market, yes, if you want one thing is, you want to scale, for instance, CIS or CSA, we rely on the extension, but during the previous year, we noticed that these extension services in the country are weak. So we are thinking about having business model, how the market can play the role. If people can get how the market can play the role, and we can develop some business model based on some practices. Let's give an example. We have climate information services. We can have business with the ICT company that will share the information. And we can link them, for instance, to insurance, proper insurance, because people can subscribe to the insurance. Insurance can pay to make them get the information and to lower the risk. And at the end, the prime will be, the damage to be paid by the insurance will be less. We can also bring, for instance, the agro dealer in the system, they can provide credit in the system. We can also provide agro dealer who can also help to buy the product. But all those things should be assessed in terms of bundling. And this is something that will happen during the next session. I think it's, in terms of interferability, I think we need a governance in this sense, because when we are working on climate information services, sometimes we have a weak network of the renegades and the station in the country. And sometimes we need to rely on global data. But we need to talk to the med services to be sure that if we are bringing this kind of information, it's because of the lack, or the gap in the system. Otherwise, we are not competing. You know, you are from the country, you have to generate the information, you have to coordinate with those we are translating the information. But sometimes the network is poor, and we need really to have a good governance in terms of data sharing, management, and use in the country. I think this is what I wanted to bring related to the three questions.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. So I would just take the last questions, and then we will bring this session to a close. There are some of your questions too that will be answered in subsequent sessions, as I can already see. So it's good that we are getting it at this point, and at least it will help. So I will take the last batch, and then we will do the post evaluation, and then we can wind up for today. So the last batch, I have first, I want to, I have Suraju Idris, as I can see from my screen. And then I have Bashir Adam. Then I have Abdurrahman Ali. And then the last one will be Baltazar Kapasa. I will take them in order. So Suraju first, Bashir, Abdul Rahman, and then Baltazar. But before that, whilst we are at it, I also have the question from the question that was to be asked, but she could not speak. So once we get this, I'll add that question, and then you just answer them together. So first, I want to hear from Suraju. Please go ahead.
Can you confirm if I'm audible, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Just introduce yourself a little.
Okay, my name is Robert Idris, and I'm from Nigeria. You made mentions of some of the challenges that are limiting the introductions or adaptations of CSAs and climate information services to some regions like insecurity. And I've been wondering, in regions that have a lot of insecurity incidents, and there are also some farmers or some people that need these information and knowledge for them to implement or to start implementations. How can we successfully achieve this to ensure that these information and this knowledge reach the people in such kinds of places without maybe being affected by the events or incidents in such areas?
Okay. I don't know whether, Matthew, you heard him.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you. So Bashir?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Rodrigo, for this informative presentation, which highlights the concept of CIS and CSA to transform agriculture production. Thank you for that. And my concern here is about information sharing. And you mentioned that the building the catalog for sharing information, or at least sharing the practices of CSA at different countries. How can this catalog benefit other countries who doesn't build that kind of catalog? The second thing is about the alliance. You mentioned the alliance at regional levels, but I'm also thinking that the alliance at the national level also can contribute a lot. Can you also shed some lights on how countries can or the communities can do some alliance or create some alliance at national levels that can advocate or made some awareness for CSA and CIS. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Bashir. Abdul Rahman Ali.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks so much. This is Abdurrahman Ali, and I'm from Egypt. So we are in North Africa. So my question is about, because if we are talking about climate smart agriculture and information and communication technology, or agriculture information dissemination, so both of them has been included in early warning system. So early warning system is producing the knowledge, and at the same time also could be like through the different channels disseminate. So my question, how can we maximize the effectiveness of the early warning system? Because nowadays there is a lot of early warning system, even for climate or weather, even for pest and diseases and others, for example, for market and economy. So my question is, how can we maximize the effectiveness of those established early warning system across the African countries? Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman. So we now take Baltazar Kabasa. I think that would be maybe the last question. Then I'll read two of the questions from online. Then you can answer. Please go ahead.
Oui.
You're breaking.
De la Sabiencia à l'est de la RDC. Je voulais juste demander, dans le contexte sécuritaire où nous nous trouvons aujourd'hui, où les innovations technologiques peuvent être la cible en tout cas du manque de développement dans notre milieu, comment on peut intégrer alors les nouvelles technologies aujourd'hui dans un contexte sécuritaire qui n'est pas bon, mais aussi qu'en est-il de la langue utilisée dans la diffusion des innovations? Est-ce que dans la diffusion des nouvelles technologies, on prend en compte la langue dans laquelle on va diffuser l'information au niveau des agriculteurs? C'est un peu ça. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. So I would just want to read the question from Juliana, who wanted to speak earlier. Say, good afternoon. The presentation is very informative and educative. However, I want to find out how we can implement some of these CSA in livestock production to mitigate the effects of climate change on not just the livestock, but also to protect the livelihood of the livestock farmer. So that is the question or the concern from her. And then just the last one from Patricia Oyango. The question is, can you talk a bit about adoption of climate smart innovations? Are farmers warming up to innovations quickly? What are some challenges you have faced in adoption? So I think this is another batch of heavily loaded questions. I hope you managed to get all of them. So over to you, Dr. Rodrigo.
Okay, so thank you very much for this question. Okay, for the first question, it's really about the insecurity issue and how we can reach this community in this kind of area. From my perspective, we have two things. The first is to leverage on what exists in terms of digital tools. You know, most of the case, you can have a city there, a village here, and another village. You have the difficulty to cross from the village to another. But using digital solution, we can send your message without the risk of being attacked somewhere. So most of the time, people in their community, they are saying it's crossing from the community to another. This is the problem. That's me. The extensionists cannot even move and so. So digital, we should be able to leverage on this. But what happens sometimes in some community, we don't have this network. So the countries should think about how we strengthen the coverage in terms of digital solutions so that we use these tools as an opportunity for disseminating information to those areas. The second option could be also to use the humanitarian services, because I know most of them, even in the insecure place, they are able to reach community compared to other organizations. So we can also leverage on those people and leverage on indigenous people in this area. I think this could be a way of reaching people in that community. Yeah, with regard to Bashir's question, yes, I understand that, for instance, if you took the case of AICCRA, it's 6 countries. And your thinking is that, for instance, we have catalog with technology, and you are coming from a country where you think that the technology from your country are not part of the catalog, and how, for instance, you can benefit from this catalog. Yes, you can still benefit from this, because normally in the country, you have some research system, you have some extension system, and the way innovation has been disseminated in Africa or in the region, there is a process. You can introduce an introduction from an innovation from elsewhere and do the minimum test, adaptation test, demonstration test, and try to promote this innovation. This is something we can do. We can also, this is one side. The second side for me, it's in each country. For instance, we used to do what you call climate smart agricultural profile at country level. Encourage the country to understand the landscape in CSA, know what CSA exists, assets, or the CSA, and come with the climate smart agricultural profile for the country. This can be also helpful, help country to really know what exists for the specific country and try to build on for the dissemination. And I know most of the national adaptation plan are those kind of technology that can be find a way to disseminate. Regarding the case of, the early warning system. Currently, I am in Rwanda, we are working on it. And what I notice is most of the time, the early warning system in some countries are focusing most on the catastrophe, some hazard, but they are not thinking about some small like CSA. For instance, here we are working on pest and disease management. And we can see that the early warning system as a structure. We have some institution, we have some mechanism. What we need is to bring this new advisory in the system and to see which institution is well placed to play this role. For instance, in the global warning system, we can have pest management in, but we'll look at the research side, the agri side to manage this part. But coming to the normal catastrophe, you will see that we have civil protection, we have many institutions. So for me, what we need, if in the country we have already this early warning system, it's to analyze this early warning system landscape and to see where we can put our new product to benefit of what exists in terms of system in the country. And this is something I will encourage. Pour la question de Balthazar regardant en rapport avec les innovations technologiques, voilà, l'accès dans les zones d'insécurité, c'est toujours un peu comme la première question. C'est de profiter des systèmes qui existent, notamment les systèmes digitaux, qui permettent en tout cas d'envoyer l'information sans parcourir la distance comme ce que le vulgarisateur aurait fait et va se retrouver face à des problèmes d'insécurité. Donc ça, c'est très important. Maintenant, pour les langues, l'expérience que nous avons, c'est que, par exemple, quand vous prenez l'information climatique pour disséminer ça, il faut déjà collecter les besoins en termes d'information des communautés pour essayer de développer, en fait, ce que vous voulez disséminer. Et dans les besoins des communautés, il faut comprendre les canaux que les communautés veulent utilisent pour recevoir ces informations et les langues préférées et les moments préférés. Et dans les langues préférées, effectivement, il faut penser à des traductions de ces messages-là en des messages dans les langues les plus parlées dans la communauté que vous allez viser. Donc, c'est quelque chose qu'on a pris en compte dans la dissémination des informations climatiques dans la plupart des zones où nous avons expérimenté ça. Regarding the livestock, yeah, the next question is more regarding how we use the livestock. Livestock here, for me, when we say climate smart agriculture, livestock is in. You know, livestock is in. It's what you use in France to say that climate smart agriculture, it's agriculture with capital A. So livestock is part. So there are several CSA livestock from livestock side. It's, for example, the forage introduction of crop forage, the way the feeding process, how we do this, all the prophylaxis, the management of pasture. There are a lot of technology and practice around the livestock. So normally it's take into account all those aspects of livestock. The last question is also to understand the relation but this is the big question regarding the adoption. So what happened in general, we have a lot of adoption study to understand the preference of farmers, the level of adoption of farmers, what are the determinants of adoption of farmers. So at the farmer level, most of the time, it's the knowledge of the technology, the awareness to the technology, and also the financial knowledge, the financial means to buy. For instance, if you need improved variety, you need to buy it. You need some equipment to develop, for instance, ZIPIT, and also most of the CSA technology also are labor intensive. So we have this constraint of labor. When you look at the danger side, you will see that, for instance, given that women don't have sometimes control of the labor, even it's her own labor, but she need to work for the family before using this labor for her own farm. So those are some few things that can hinder the adoption of CSA. Otherwise, most of the time, community farmers, they are happy with what we show to them, we demonstrate to them, they want to buy in, but these are some common challenges for adoption. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rodrigo. So I think that there are so many questions in the chat as well, and I can still see many hands being raised. Unfortunately, we are constrained by time, and so we will not be able to pick further questions. I have posted the community link. I mean, we are creating a community, which we already mentioned. We are creating a community. The link is on the chat. Please join the community and then post your questions in the community because the facilitators will be there and the engagement can continue. As I mentioned earlier too, some of the questions would be answered through subsequent sessions. And so we want to encourage you to join the subsequent sessions. At this point, we would want to just, plead with you that we will not be able to pick any question. We will just conduct the evaluation. But before we conduct the evaluation, let's give another round of applause to our facilitator, Dr. Mateo Rodrigo. It's been a very educating 2-hour session and so it's just the beginning of the discussion. And like I said, some of the things that are raised, some of the questions that are raised, he himself with the last page said it's a heavy question. These are some of the things that would emerge in our last webinar, the last one on 28th, where we will be looking at the action points, how do we proceed from here? How do we work together to ensure that we deliver the optimum? So this is just a starting point, and I'm happy that the enthusiasm is very high in this regard. So we are going to take our post-webinar evaluation. just within 1 or 2 minutes. This time we'll give you some more time to look at it and then tell us your, just tell us how you feel. The same questions, only one that is different. So please respond to us, and then in after 1 minute, or let's say 2 minutes, we'll return and then we close the session for today with a few announcements. So yes, it's going on. Please go ahead and answer. Let us know how you felt about the webinar. First, how well do you understand the impacts of climate, having listened through or having participated? How familiar are you with the key principles of climate smart agriculture? And then which of the following is an example of a CSA practice? Then the fourth one is how familiar are you with climate information services? And the second but last one, which of the following best describes the benefit of integrating CSA and CIS? And the last one, number 6, which was originally not in the first one, how prepared do you feel to make climate resilient decisions after this training? And like we are saying, we would have this for just this training. There are more of them coming up. So we just want to see how far we have gone with today. So we have so far let's see whether we can also hit the same 60. We have 43 so far, 45. Yes, we look forward to hit 60. And then we can stop the post-evaluation. We have 51 out of 113. Okay, 56, making 49%. Let's use the next 30 seconds to round up. Okay, 58, making 51%. Okay, we are almost there. Please, let's finish hard. 10 seconds more. Let's finish hard so that the pre and post numbers we can have some very some good analysis. Good, okay. Now we have 66, making 60%. Okay, so I think we can end the poll. And then we would share, yes, the results. So, okay. All right, so we will also share the results with the facilitator, maybe it will help in informing the next session. So at this point, yes, yeah, this is the results. I don't know if you want to, Dr. Rodrigo, do you want to say something little about the feedback?
Yeah, the good thing is that now, for the first question, there is no one who is not
exactly
saying is not at all knowing the impact this good thing for us. And when we go to the last question, I see that we have more than 70% of people prepared and well prepared and fully prepared to engage in the CSA implementation. So that's very fine. So it's opened the window for the next step, So thank you very much for all the participants, and over to you.
All right.
Benjamin.
Thank you, Doc. And just to apologize to colleagues again whose questions we could not pick and also the question we couldn't read. As I mentioned, please join the community. You'll be approved in a few minutes, and then you can post some more questions there. Continue the discussion. Connect as we prepare for the next session on Friday, 21st. So we look forward to having you on Friday. As we mentioned at the beginning, the Friday session is going to look at bundling and business models for scaling CSI, CIS and CSA, overview, case studies, and best practice. And then it will be facilitated by, the main facilitator will be Desiree Kagubo, sorry. He's also a scientist with the Alliance for of Biodiversity and CIAT and AICCRA. And it will be moderated by one of my colleagues from Cameroon, YPAT country coordinator, Babel Ngwepe. He would be the moderator for that day. So we look forward to having you again. And please remember, your certification is based on your participation in all the 3 sessions. So we look forward to meeting you again on Friday. Thank you, and we wish you the best. Thank you to our interpreters, all the backroom staff. Thank you very much for this session. We look forward to having you again on Friday. We will leave the meeting room open for the next maybe 5 minutes, just for people to, if you want to connect, you can do that, but we will stop the recording.